Do you know the only time I saw his eyes open the whole program is when you mentioned stripper pole. Ahoy! This is your captain speaking, Greg Michael of Pinnacle Marine Group, Marine Surveyors, and welcome aboard the Naughty Boys Boat Show. I'm joined by Captain Happy, Glenn Shadbolt, Marine Mechanic and Shipwright, and aboard this vessel, we talk everything about boats, the build, the mechanics, the good, the bad, and the ugly. We go where the seas take us. The topics will be endless. Electronics, marinas, restaurants, vacations, cruising and fishing. Our show includes live callers with real questions. Let's fare these waters together. Call 772-773-2600 every Tuesday between 5 and 5:30 p.m. Eastern. If you're a guest or a caller, you certainly are naughty. Ahoy! And welcome to the Naughty Boys Boat Show. I'm your host, Captain Greg Michael, Marine Surveyor, and sitting next to me is our beloved Captain Happy, Glenn Shadbolt.
Hey.
Hey.
Caught more fish today.
All right, good. If you're a guest or a caller, and you are certainly naughty, so please keep those calls and emails coming in, and we'll answer them. So, quick introductions. Glenn already said hi. We have John Dial, Glenn's beer.
Fucking A.
Right there, right? Yeah, right through the introductions. Click.
I'm
Boom.
sorry.
Okay. All right. So we have John Dial from At the Helm Training, Lima Yacht Sales, and HMY Yacht Sales, Eclipse Sales Manager. The guy does it all. There's nothing he can't do. So say hi, John.
How you doing, guys? Welcome back.
Right. John's been with us before. He's a great guest, and he keeps doing more and more in his life, so we keep having him back, and we keep we hope to keep having him back, right?
Yeah.
All right, good. Glenn said yes. You're invited then. Glenn said yes.
Glad to be here.
All right.
He's comical.
He's comical. Well, comical. There's a good segue. So,
Are you going to be comical today, or
I'm going to tell a joke.
okay?
Can I?
I've been drinking, so
Will you laugh then?
no mechanical tips today. Let's just put it down.
Just one. All right. So I'm going to tell a naughty joke. A pirate is walking along the beach and stumbles across a girl with no arms and no legs, and she's crying. Being a sensitive and curious pirate, he stumbles up and asks, "Why are you crying?" She responds, "I have no arms and no legs. I've never been hugged." The pirate was at sea a long time, didn't think twice, and he said, "I'll hug you." So he hugged her. She continued to cry, though. "Why are you still crying?" "I have no arms and no legs. I've never been kissed." Well, the pirate looked. He said, "Okay, I'll give you a kiss." So he bent down and gave her a nice long kiss. But the woman continued to cry uncontrollably. "Why are you still crying?" asked the pirate. "I have no arms. I have no legs. I've never been screwed." The pirate looked, and he looked around to see if there's any witnesses, picked the woman up, threw her in the water, and said, "Now you're screwed."
God, you guys are so wrong on so many levels. Oh, God.
Come on, Glenn.
I would have thought he would have just, whatever, took care of it.
With no arms and no legs?
Whatever.
That's pushing the limit even for you, Glenn.
I'd say we're screwed right now.
Right. That's pushing the limit.
Put it in
for
your
you.
lap and spin it like a top. Okay?
Oh, geez, here we go.
Oh, God. I knew it would deteriorate sooner or later, just didn't think it'd be this quick.
Right in the beginning.
Right it started when he opened the beer.
Boom.
That was your first key.
That was when you hit, that's it. It's over. So
Over was a while ago.
all right. Just a minute. We're going to have John talk about At the Helm, HMY, Lima, everything he's doing. But most importantly, we're really interested in his new adventure, which is Eclipse Yachts. So we're going to talk about that. But just to let you know, if you want to call in, the call-in number is 772-773-2600. And the email is naughtyboysboatshow@gmail.com. So keep them coming. We try to answer all the emails. We try to get to all the calls. And we appreciate you guys tuning in, like, and subscribe. So, all right, John, we're going to go to you. Let's talk about Lima Yacht Sales. I had a question. So Lima Yacht Sales, I noticed now, is a division of United Yacht Sales?
Used to be. We're out of there completely. Not that it was a bad thing, but that is only an international company that does sales in Lima, Peru, and primarily globally.
Okay. So Lima's independent now. Again.
That's correct.
Okay, good. All right. I just had that question because I saw it on the website, and I'm like, well, United. Okay. But you can control
You
these.
can hear that?
Yeah, I can hear the burps. All right, let's get serious. So, all right, now let's get into the meat of things. So, HMY, you're the newly appointed sales manager and brand manager for Eclipse Yachts.
That's correct.
Tell me how that came about.
You know, I was doing a sale with them through Lima, actually, on one of their boats, and that was back about October, November, and they called me in and said, look, we're looking for somebody to help us push this brand. Would you be interested? I said, sure, because it was an exciting project, with Michael Peters' design, and everything is behind it, and it's pretty exciting what they're doing.
So I know, but for the people who don't know, just give a very short little description of who Michael Peters is and what he does.
He's like the it guy right now for yacht design, especially hull design, especially when you're talking about performance and economy and seakeeping ability. He also designs the Valhalla, which you may have heard of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's, for the people listening, Valhalla is the Viking brand center console.
That's correct.
Michael Peters designed that. So to work with him is, in my opinion, is working with the best.
At this time, yeah, he's the guy.
Right.
And I'll tell you, once you ride on one of those boats, you understand why.
Right. Now, the Eclipse also have a stepped hull.
That's correct.
Right. So good seat keeping, good fuel economy. So if anybody looks at these Eclipse boats, they're primarily all outboards, right?
Yeah, they're all outboards, running triple 600s on the 505 and quads on the 605. And I got to tell you, at the Palm Beach Boat Show, it's amazing. They hired me like 2 days for the show. And, you're on the boat, you're looking at them, and, you don't think much of it. And I went over to a boat next door and looked down at it from a profile from above it. And I got to tell you, the feeling I got is like I was watching Jennifer Aniston laying on a beach, man. It just looked like that. It was great.
Right. Who's one of my
Not for
favorites,
nothing,
by the
man,
way.
but that seems like a lot of horsepower to go catch a fish if these are
Well, if you look at the
those
Eclipse,
flounders, man. I tell you, man, they can really kick your
Yeah,
ass.
well, these aren't fish boats. These are cruise boats. The
If there's
Valhalla's a
center
cruise.
consoles, the Valhallas are a lot.
no,
that's
these are cruisers.
Yeah.
Oh, the cruisers, not the
Yeah. So when I look at Eclipse, I get the reminiscence of a Cockles Harbor, a Hinckley, an MJM. Very, very slight similarities with a modern feel, right? Mm-hmm. So I get that picnic boat kind of cruiser feel, but at the same time, I'm like, wow, he took it to another level.
Well, I'll tell you a little story. And I won't say what brands they were, but there were two of them. One of them was out of the Palm Beach Boat Show. We pulled out the inlet, and he was running south, and we ran him down. And then we were passing one of the ones you just mentioned going up the river the other day on a sea trial. Yeah. We had about 4 or 5 guys, size of all of us in here, a little bit, they were all averaging probably 225 apiece. They were going the other way. We turned around and ran him down because we're a 60-mile-an-hour hull.
Right.
And that's the difference. It
Big difference.
looks like the picnic boat, but it's got the performance of a center console.
Yeah, because it's got outboards.
Outboards and that stepped hull.
Stepped hull. So these boats we're talking about, the Hinkleys and the MJMs and the Sabres and all those, they're primarily inboard boats.
Most of them, but they're
looking like a
all
downeaster.
But
Yep.
they're all converting to outboards. But the one thing that's different is they're not designing a new hull to go with that power plant.
Right.
They're converting. I don't know of all of them, but a lot of them, it seems like they're converting a traditional hull and just hanging outboards on the back with a bracket. Not the same.
Yeah, it's not going to be the same.
Just be easy
Center
to
of
split.
gravity's off. You know, it's not going to ride the same. It's not going to. I mean, it may porpoise more. It's. I mean, there's a whole. You know, there's a whole theory about.
Not
boat
for
design,
nothing,
so.
but back in the 80s or whatever, do they still do splashing? I mean, if somebody builds a fantastic boat, you just go buy one, take it apart, flip the hull upside down, and change the hull by 17%. And then you don't need to do all the work. Why hire engineers when you can just buy a boat and just splash it?
Well, remember when they used to just make the brackets and hang on the back of everything? It was kind of cool, gave you more room, but it really didn't run like it was when somebody designed a boat.
A lot of them
with
weren't
elbow.
seaworthy. We saw Sea Yachts here and there. A lot of them, they just closed up the transoms with the Armstrong, especially the Armstrongs.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them use the Armstrong brackets and glass them into the hull,
Right.
right?
Right.
Well, the long one, we were selling 25 Sea Yachts with a single outboard. They were going out the inlet because they had the cuddy. And when they got to the peak of the wave, it would tumble over.
Well, Seahawks. So
I hate when that happens.
we don't badmouth boat brands on
I don't mention brands,
but,
man. Yeah.
but Seahawks, you know.
Well, they had a lot of good boats, but they just, you know, the other boats were great. It's just they put the Armstrong bracket on and nobody figured it out.
Right.
And it's just, you know, things happen.
John, where are where are Eclipse made?
They are, well, you know, they're built and assembled in South Africa, in Cape Town, and they are about 60% American parts, but they do all the glass work over there, and then we ship them back with all the parts on them. So the duty on them, the tariff is a lot less because we're repatriating a lot of the parts back.
That's pretty ingenious, you know, save that money. So pass it along.
Makes it also easy to get parts for.
Right. Talk about the construction. Cord hull bottom. Are they foam? Are they infused? I mean, just talk to me about some.
Yes, yes, and yes.
Okay.
Different parts are different techniques, and that's a little of their proprietary, you know, information that,
Right.
you know, I'm probably not the best versed on that from the sales side, but I know it is cored and infused at different places and carbon.
Right. So most manufacturers have gone the way of carbon. They're also, you know, most everybody's infusing, and just about everybody's trying to get away from the wood, right? So everybody's using closed cell foam, you know, Cusa board and transom, things like that. So, except Boston Whale, they're still using wood transoms, which, you know, I don't get. But
Phone was going
whatever.
to fill up with water anyway, so
Yeah, so I don't get it. But
should have
okay,
just bought a Proline.
and network. So is HMY the exclusive dealer for?
At this point, yes, they are. They're the exclusive dealer, importer, manufacturer, representative for Eclipse. And, you know, we like to keep that control of the quality and the service. And that's the whole point. Like if you buy a Valhalla, you buy it directly from Viking.
That's
There
right.
are no dealers. You know, same way as it was with, you know, Intrepid, right?
Right. I'm a guy in Michigan.
Intrepid.
I'm on Lake Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
I want to buy an Eclipse. How am I getting that boat? How am I seeing that boat? What's the logistics?
Right now, you've got to come here to see it. We can ship it to you. All the boats are built where they'll ship down the road, right? Just take the arch, or not the arch, but the mast off, and they'll all ship down the road. The beauty of it is everything on there you can get serviced anywhere. So the only really item that we've got to worry about servicing is the hull itself.
What is the power plant?
It's Mercury.
Oh,
600s.
So you okay? But he said something interesting. Servicing. Everything on the boat can be serviced, but do you have a dealer network set up or
Yeah, it's called
or
Mercury.
service?
We have a service network of
Right.
providers.
But it
that
has
we're-
Mercury engines. So
That's right.
any Mercury dealer in America, if he pulls up, they have to take care of it.
Yeah, but what if I have a problem with my Raymarines, or what if I have a problem with the sink or the?
That's nationally. If you got, well, we don't use Raymarine, we use Garmin. But I mean, if you've got a Garmin problem, you
Any
call
big harbor's gonna have a Garmin dealer, you know.
Anybody. Same way with
And they'll-
the Northern Lights generator.
And you'll back it up.
It's just the
Absolutely.
basic
Okay.
hull that they would have to do if there was some detabbing or something like that.
Right.
That would be something that they would have to. But everything else would be the electronics. The electronics guy. I mean, you got the engine guy.
And one of the great things is we're giving a 7-year warranty on those Mercs.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Longest
And they got
in the
and
industry.
you know what?
probably.
Merck got rid of the supercharger. Thank God.
Yeah.
Mercury's going to rule.
No blue
Yay,
smoke anymore.
Mercury.
No blue
Yay,
smoke.
I got to tell
Mercury.
you, I didn't know much about these 600s till I got involved with this, and I was always skeptical of them, right? Now, having been on boats with them, dude, they're nice. It's the pods without having the pods down below the boat. You can tilt them up out of the way, get them out of the water.
It's just, I've been certified Mercruiser forever, but it's like a Mercruiser drive on an outboard. It's like perfect. And it's a 4-stroke. I mean, even a boat mechanic could work on it.
Well, remember now, Mercury makes the ZF as well, right? Which it works real well, but the maintenance on them because they're submerged in water is always the issue. So Mercury with their outboards, it seems to me they've really come up with the right idea to get that kind of horsepower out of it too.
Right. And then with the tariffs and everything else, and, hopefully, Fond du Lac and everything, we can make the Midwest and America and money and God bless.
Well, we're going to find out, right? So these Mercs with the pods are kind of new. Mm-hmm. And we'll find in the next few years. But I think it's going to come down to the same thing as Volvo and Zeus. Maintenance, right? Mm-hmm. So, everything will be good as long as you maintain.
But the maintenance is going to be less because you can tilt them out of the water.
Right.
Right. The problem with the other brands, right, and I'm real familiar with both of them, is that annual maintenance is not cheap. And also, knock one off and see what that costs.
Oh, $30,000.
Easy. Or more.
Yeah.
Or more.
I got you.
But don't get carried away. Maintenance is never cheap. So people think it's too much money, but, for all the years, do your maintenance because you think you're saving money, but at the end, it's just going to turn to a bowl of shit, and then no good mechanic's going to work on your boat because you're being a schmucko.
Okay. Maintenance is cheaper than repairs.
That's right. Always. You heard that.
Be proactive, not reactive, and that's a reactive sound.
I don't know why you're laughing because it's going to be a while before I can drive home, buddy.
Yeah, I know. You might have to sleep here. My God.
Again.
John's such a good guy. He's like neat and straight, and he's such a good guy. And I got Captain Slob next to me.
Oh, Slob. I'm not a slob.
Oh, my God.
Slob. Don't even get started.
Hey, he's the absolute pinnacle of entertainment here.
He is the pinnacle.
And knowledge, quite honestly. I think a lot of people don't give him the credit that he really deserves because this guy is an absolute fountain of information, especially when you're talking about outdrives, outboards, Mercury, old school stuff, especially all the way up to new school. I mean, try to find guys like that anymore. Good luck.
No, listen, I say a lot of things about Glenn, but we've been working together over 30 years. And, man, I could be on the phone on a boat and just say, listen to this. He'll go, oh, yeah, that's this.
Yeah.
So you're right. That's a great compliment. You should say thank you, brother.
Thank you.
It's a fact.
Oh, thank you.
Well, you know what? I'm happy.
Thank you.
You got to remember something. I am a happy drunk, but if I'm sober and I'm working, I'm a miserable bastard. It's not a joke.
Well, Captain
All days
Happy.
miserable. You got to get up. Everybody's got to go to work. We got to get, let me shit, piss, eat, and get out of the house by 7. Where's this? Right.
Captain Happy.
That's what I'm saying.
But no, Glenn's a phenomenal mechanic. How many years doing it, Glenn?
74.
Not 74 years.
1974.
Since 1974.
Hey,
I'm not doing math right now.
You start saying 3 or 4 beers in, get what you get out of this. I mean, be glad. He could have said, 69, right?
Let's give him algebra problems right now. We'll have some fun. All right, so I want to move on. You just opened a new location.
Yeah.
Okay, talk to me. Where is it?
Grand Park, which is Grand Parkway and the old Cowboys place on U.S. Federal Highway 1. And it's just a really good location for putting boats in there. And, with HMY, the key to it is they own, Pirates Cove. Mm-hmm. They own another marina down Waterway, which is just on the Dixie Highway there, just north of Roosevelt Bridge. And they've got 11 other locations in Florida and then in Charleston and Newport.
Right.
So, it's a privately held, family-owned business, which I got to tell you, once you meet the family that owns that, you understand why they're so successful. It's just, it's funny because the first deal I ever did in boating was in 1997, was with HMY on the other side of it. And all these years, I never really got to know them. And when I really got to know them, and I started seeing all their brokers have been there like, 15, 20 years. All the people work there have been there 15, 20 years.
Yeah, treat them good.
Just fair, and just solid, family quality traits. Try to find that again, right? Yeah. It's not private equity. It's not, a publicly traded company. Mm-hmm. And that, my friend, is the difference.
Yeah, and HMY is the initials of the original founders, right?
That's right.
All right. So, and like I do work with Mark Mitchell and a few other guys.
Mark's
and
a great guy.
Mark is, I mean, salt of the earth, really good guy. But I'll tell you what, every HMY broker I've worked with, and again, I'm a surveyor, right? So sometimes I'm the enemy. They say, I'm the enemy.
I'd like to think you more as the frenemy because I don't do a lot of sales a whole lot anymore. I do more of the management stuff and the training. And when I see a surveyor like you walking down the dock, I know it's fair.
Right.
And whatever it
Thank
is,
you.
it is. And I can tell the guy that owns a boat, hey, look, dude, that list ain't going to change. You might as well get it fixed or cut the check to get it fixed. And you should have spent the money beforehand. And a lot of things that people don't think of. When somebody takes a listing, they should call you first.
Right.
Before that survey
Right.
happens, because then you just give them the roadmap how to make that sale go through.
Right.
So, having a proactive guy like you, and listen, this is a shameless plug for him, call him up because he'll save you money during the sale.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, thank you, John. My mantra's always been this. I don't fail boats, never. I mean, they don't take tests, so I don't fail them. I report, honestly. I don't overreact. If you have moisture in the forepeak, so does every other boat. It's fixable. Everything on a boat is fixable. We call it Tupperware, right? So it's fixable. And nobody should get crazy about it and never stop a survey. For the people out there, if your surveyor is stopping a survey halfway through and getting paid and saying, well, the boat's just not good, that's unethical to me. To me, you do the survey from start to finish, you give them a report. And by the way, we're not experts. I'm not qualified to start to tell you what estimates should be. So if there are problems on that report and there's things, I'm not going to sit here and say, well, that costs $300, that costs $800. That's not my job. So I think the brokers like me and I get a lot of recommendations from them because I'm the fair guy. I'm the guy who's going to say, hey, this is what's real. This is what is going on with that boat. And it is what it is,
And another thing that we've talked about before, and I want to bring up Chapman School of Seamanship.
Yeah.
With that program they've got for training surveyors and PMT and the kids, school they do for the kids to have a summer camp. We should be supporting that as a local community like no other. They work with Project Lift. The Yamaha school. Jim Allen is just phenomenal, and John Haggerty. What those guys are doing.
Guys. Yep.
And you know what? It's a local charity that actually brings people across our deck that we can appreciate.
Yeah.
From deckhands to captains to surveyors.
Yeah.
And those guys, if they can come out and apprentice with a guy like you,
Yeah.
they'll never run out of a job. So Chapman's is in my opinion, a unsung hero in this community.
They really are.
You get the 200-ton license and all
Yeah.
them. The Kenny, I can't remember.
STCW,
Yeah.
firefighting, they do it all.
They do it all.
I couldn't believe that. The fire. Tell them about the firefighting.
Did you take the
wants
course?
to do the 200-ton. He took the course. You got to put a fire suit. You
Yeah,
got to
man.
go put a fucking fire
Yeah,
out.
you do. Yeah. Well,
What the fuck?
Do it in September like I did, August when it's really hot. Right?
I'm gonna plug myself again. So I am newly appointed to the board of. I am on the board.
Congratulations!
Thank
I'm
you, John.
so glad to hear that because they need guys like you on that board.
Thank you. So I am on the board of Chapman School of Seamanship. We've had a couple of board meetings already. Just great ideas flowing. Great progressive new ideas going forward. And the thing I'm really happy about is, I've been Jim Allen again. Can't say enough good things about him.
Oh.
But he's given me the task of taking these surveyors and bringing them to manufacturers' facilities to see how boats are built.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't have that opportunity when I was coming up, but I'll tell you what, it is priceless. And I also speak to these surveyors, right? So they're graduating, I speak to them, and I tell them all this. Don't fail boats. Don't get involved in the money. Don't get involved in negotiations. You're just the surveyor.
That's right.
And don't try to be a hero. You know, and don't ever tell a person buy a boat, don't buy a boat. That's none of your business.
Yeah, that's their choice.
That's their choice.
But, I got to tell you, having you on the board, I mean, I bring in, donation boats to them, anything I can. Matter of fact, just had one today. I called them on a 32-foot, center console with twin outboards.
Cool.
To support that. And I'm so glad you're on the board, because that forward thinking is what's going to be the success to Chapman's, even more so than it is. And, that campus is just priceless. But when I saw Jim Allen out there laying sod last summer in July, and the fact that I found out he's been knocked off a helicopter deck and, and spent about 45 minutes to an hour out there in the dark, blowing up his PFD because it had a leak in it. And to hear that story, I'm like, dude, this guy's a real deal.
Yeah, he is.
And all the guys there respect him, and that's really, I know we're supposed to be talking about Eclipse, and we're supposed to be talking, but this is important.
It's very important.
It's very important.
And thanks for your confidence in me being on the board, and thanks for the compliments. And I'm going to do whatever I can. It's time for me to give back. So I've been in the business 30 years.
Yeah.
I'm going to give back, and I'm going to do everything. I'm basically going to do whatever Jim tells me to do. So that's
be careful with that when you be laying side. Buddy.
I'll do it.
When are you waxing my boat?
Right.
Did you say your boat or your balls? I didn't know.
Boat of balls.
No, that's like just my boat.
All right, so these locations HMY has down here, Stewart, Florida. They have a presence basically everywhere.
Yeah, we're in North Palm Beach. We're in Palm Beach proper, Palm Harbor, Dania Beach, Fort Lauderdale, of course, at Bahia Mar, and then Miami Beach Marina. So there's
other states.
South Carolina, in Charleston, and then of course, like we were talking about up in Newport.
Big operation. How many brokers do you think you guys have?
God, I'd have to find, and it's just a guess. I'd say there's probably about 70, 65, something like that. Yeah. And, here's the deal. They don't take everybody.
Right.
I know guys that have come up and said to me, hey, man, can you get me in? Can you get me? And I'm like, dude, I don't hire brokers. That's number one. Right. Number two, you got to try out. Mm-hmm. And then you've got to be somebody that's got not just good sales ability, but good ethics. And if you don't have that, they don't want you. Mm-hmm. And those guys are just, most of them are very knowledgeable. Not most of them, all of them. Mm-hmm. And they have a training program.
Right.
So these young guys that come in, they go to the outboard store, they go on a payroll. They're employees for, HMY, and they get a bonus on every boat they sell. But they keep them in that program for a couple years before they move them up to 1099 players.
Right.
And so these guys, they're in there soaking it up from guys like, older guys that know what's going on. And it's just really cool to see that culture in the brokerage business, as well as they've got the service centers, and they're doing the same thing there. Yeah. It's just. Yeah,
you see a lot of brokerage houses that will take anybody. Just sit down, pick up a phone.
If you can fog a mirror,
right,
you're a broker.
You're a broker. Right. So I'm glad HMY.
Yeah, huh? I like that.
And there's an old saying in sales, pick up a phone or dial a phone. So I'd like to see people dialing phones. That's how you get sales.
And the other thing, HMY has embraced the boating safety concept,
right?
Which that was the big thing for me to come over with them when they said, "Oh yeah, we'll give At the Helm training a shot." We've done deliveries, we do trainings for new customers with them. Now we're working with more of the insurance companies, and we've been invited to speak at the Mariners Club,
nice.
Which is the big meeting with all of that with insurance agents, and we track all the people we train, and so far we've had a 0% accident rate.
Nice.
And we've done over 1,000 of them. And, Chapman's has done probably 2,000.
Right. And
Chapman's and At the Helm Training and Trace Martin and National Safe Boating Council, that's another nonprofit everybody needs to, to support, because they have the standards for the 27 feet and down. But between all of us, we have done thousands of trainings, and we just did the numbers for At the Helm. We have put over $1.9 million back into professional mariners' pockets since inception in 4 years, of which 1.4 million was in the last 2 years.
Hoorah.
That's a lot of money put back into the system.
Nice.
It's creating jobs.
Yeah.
And, Chapman's does the same thing. If you really track the downstream of what they do with all their programs, there's no telling how many millions and millions and millions of dollars of jobs they've created.
Right. Yeah. No, they do a good job. So let's get back to Eclipse for a minute. Talk to me about construction. I mean, are they built well? Are they? I mean, you're on them.
They're built very well, but I think the real key here, because you go to two restaurants, one's got a $15 steak, one's got a $35 steak. What's the difference, right? Well, it's the ingredients, it's the chef, it's everything that goes with it. The presentation can be the same; they can be right next to each other, but when you have that meal, you feel differently each way. And Eclipse is about design and performance put together. I mean, look, they all look good. It's like, I hate to say it, but I use this analogy all the time. People say, "Oh, that boat's a great looking boat." I said, "How you feel about dating strippers?" Right? Looks pretty good on the pole. Ain't going to work out too good when you get them home, right? And it's the same thing about a lot of boats. And so to be able to stand behind a product like this and have the guys that are involved with it, and Michael Peters and this construction and the HMY family, and then to see it evolve on every boat until we get it perfect. That's hard to do. And, that's what brought me in, to see this thing evolve from hull 1 to hull 2 to 3 to 4. And we're bringing in, boats for the Fort Lauderdale Boat Show that will be drastically different than hull 1, because we listen to the customers, we listen to the brokers, we listen to the surveyors, and, if it's not right, it's not going to be on the next boat.
What models do you have so far?
The 505s and 2 605s are in construction, and we're on hull number 7 of the 505s. And 605, we've got one that's in construction and one that's just been hull laid. But we've got, I think, like 14 hulls that are already built.
Nice.
So there's been a big change with Valhalla, because originally it was just center console.
No.
Stop drinking beer. Stop drinking beer.
We're talking about Eclipse, not Valhalla.
Oh, because you were talking before, because now they make the other one.
That was 2 beers ago, dude.
Well, where's the whiskey? I know you got whiskey.
I don't do hard alcohol.
No,
I can't.
okay.
I'll just
well, you
pass
should.
out. No.
Okay. So, all right. So let's. I've personally seen Eclipse. I've read up a lot about them. I think it's a good product. Who builds them? Just to
they're
tell.
built by Two Oceans in South Africa,
right?
And custom for us. And there's a lot of technology went into the first boats that we kind of saw that we didn't really want or need. So now on the next boats that are coming back or coming out, we're going back to a little bit more of the analog stuff. We got Starlink built into the hard top, and that's something I don't think anybody else has ever done.
Nope.
And but some of the other things we've kind of dumbed down, because you see that some of it's just too complicated and prone to problems. That's what we saw in hull 1, that we didn't, we modified it because we had hull 1 there.
And
but some of the stuff,
remember service, because you don't have ex-NASA employees fixing these things.
Right, like let's talk about automatic power changes, right? I mean, that all looks real good and everything, and we've got it on some of the boats, and it works well, but, sometimes just flipping a breaker's a lot better, because you isolate that power, as you know.
Correct.
Instead of having it flowing through with a micro switch.
Once you add automatic, it's impossible to troubleshoot.
Right.
You got to have your laptop, baby.
It's very tough.
What do you think? I work for NASA? Here we go again.
Who would you say is your competitor? What boats?
Probably Palm Beach and MJM and Tierra, Sabre. You just mentioned them all. Those are the primary ones, with probably, I would say, Palm Beach is our main competitor.
Yeah.
But when you ask me who can compete with us on performance, none of them.
None of them. Right.
None of them.
Right.
Not yet. I'm sure they'll be copying it soon enough.
Well, that's you sell boats, they're going to sell boats.
Yeah, but there's more than performance, because we sold Hustlers for a while. And you get a brand new Hustler.
Wait a minute. Are we talking about boats? Or are we going back to that store in Fort Lauderdale?
No, just say any boat. The only thing, a boat is just a piece of Tupperware. Right. So you said you got the fastest boat. Right. So Hustler was the fastest boat. We sold them. New boat would come in, take it for the demo, whatever the number was. It was just a number. There'd be stress cracks because the thing was so light. So what I'm just trying to say is, so you got the best numbers, but the problem is I could beat your numbers, but how many stress cracks are going to
Yeah,
happen?
you got to build it lighter and cheaper.
Zero.
Right.
We got zero.
You got zero.
Like a hydraulic, like the speedboats, all
Yeah.
the water comes in and then it just explodes the boat.
This is how you can tell this guy's old, man. It's old technology and old references.
Right.
But now what they do is funny you brought that in. They build grids, right? With the frames underneath.
Grits?
Grid. Like grid, like
grid.
square grids, like
Not
what you
not
fish.
hominy grits.
Not grits. not hot girls from the South grits, right? No, we're talking about grids, like like these tiles that are below us. And with these grids, with the new the new materials they're using, it's pretty strong. And then they use the carbon fiber in the support systems, like for the roof. And
as
so,
long as you do it right, because when
Yeah.
Kevlar came out, they couldn't get the resin into the Kevlar, and
Yeah.
the boats were coming
Yeah.
apart. So it's nice having this new aerospace fiber, but if it ain't saturated, they do vacuum bag.
Yeah, they're using carbon fiber, but they're also using another. These boat manufacturers are using another thing called carbon negro, and it draws in the resins even better than the carbon fiber. So
carbon fiber, in limited uses, I think is okay.
Yeah.
I think, having been through the gunboat thing where we built 80-foot, sailing catamaran all out of carbon, that presents a whole nother set of problems with electrolysis, and it looks
and
like,
they snap.
well, and they're brittle. That's right.
brittle.
You know what it all comes down to? At the end of the day, everybody could talk, but you got your big boat, you go out in the ocean, you burn up your first set of motors. So every time you hit a wave, that's a cycle. So your first set of motors is what? 500,000, million, whatever the number is. It's just the number. Let's just say 1 million cycles. So because this used to happen back in the day, Jackson's had one, whatever. Now you put another set of motors in. And now you're going to do another 1 million cycles flexing the hull. They actually had a boat at Jackson's that they put, all the motors in. It cycles so many times it couldn't get on plane because the hull would
The shape would deform.
would
really?
deform with the water, and it couldn't break free. It couldn't get on plane.
Well, let me ask you this. I mean, you're a mechanic. I mean, and I see this all the time when we're talking about motors and things like that. And
Motors are just ours. Motors are easy. Hulls are difficult because
Right.
when the motor goes bad, you just put another one. When the hull goes bad, you're fucked.
But isn't the motor really gauged on how many gallons go through it and not the hours? 'Cause
Definitely on
yeah,
diesels.
but that's the
Yeah.
diesel. That's the
Definitely.
new.
Well,
Diesels,
why
yes.
wouldn't gas be any different?
Gas is different because it's
Piston goes up and down,
Yeah,
brother.
it's-
I don't know if it's any different. I mean,
The
Mr.
problem
with gas-
Happy would
Yeah.
know.
The
Come on,
biggest
Captain
thing,
Happy.
the biggest thing with gas is maintenance.
Yeah.
You get a little salt water here, and because I was a stern driver, so unless you really got decent people, and for all my customers through the years, you know what the biggest problem was? Their son, somebody else used the boat, and they ruined it.
yeah. Well,
Yeah, we always used to say, my
family
kids
does
are gonna
that.
be
They ruin everything.
But you hit something right there, and I think will draw attention. You said saltwater leaks, and that right there. People don't keep the maintenance up on the seals.
Yeah.
They don't take it in the mechanic every year to
Yeah,
get
because if the
water
pump is
going
going
through.
bad, you're spraying salt water. Every
Yeah.
electrical connection,
Yeah.
the whole thing's just a bag of
All right. So good stuff. We got Captain Happy involved, which is nice. How do people get in touch if they want to see Eclipse?
Just call me on my cell phone's the best thing.
Give me a number.
561-445-0078. And, we'll get you aboard. We've got the Eclipse Service Center, which is the old, Whitaker Yard over on Willoughby. And that's our designated support center for it. We've got them under the sheds in there. Then we move them around to, Palm Harbor and North Palm and Fort Lauderdale and down to Miami Beach. We're campaigning them on doing demo rides, and we'll be scheduling that up and publishing that out in emails and through a very limited availability.
Good. All right. Maybe we'll do a ride and do a show on it.
Exactly.
Okay.
There you go.
Cool. So, again, the call-in number is 772-773-2600. Email naughtyboysboatshow@gmail.com. So we've gotten some good couple of emails. So I got some questions. if you guys don't mind. So
Captain Happy Minds.
the first one is actually for Glenn. Captain.
Oh, it's good, but just remember, this is just a totally inebriated.
He's inebriated, Captain Happy. Okay.
At least he can say it.
So Kyle T from Hilton Head, South Carolina, asked this. He says, I have an older 1980 Silverton 34 with Crusader 7.4 liters.
Beautiful.
I just did compression and all cylinders are still good. The mechanic I used said these are the best gas marine engines made. Do you agree?
It's if you got the right mechanic, because I had 40, I had all those, I own the boats, whatever. If you got the right mechanic, it's a very affordable boat. If you do your maintenance and you know what needs to be changed, the U-coolers.
So I have a question. We did a lot of surveys on 7.4s and a lot of Crusaders throughout the years. It's your standard GM block.
Yes, Mark Cruiser, Volvo,
Yep.
and Crusader. GM, that's why you used to be able to buy a brand new marine engine. So everybody put their orders in, whatever year it was, back in the late 80s. It was, whenever the thing was.
So for Kyle, would you say Crusader's better than Merc Cruiser?
You can get all the parts still. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Because you're
Good.
buying the boat.
So good engine.
Yeah, they're all the same, but you can get all the parts.
All right, good. All right, another question I got. He actually made it through that question.
I got to tell you what, I love hearing him talk about those gas engines because, most of us are diesels. But,
I love those.
Well, those little gas engines, you can get a full drop in fairly inexpensively, brand new out of the crate and have warranty. Go.
Safety warning. Old 7.4 Crusaders, get rid of that stupid freaking metal PH frame, spin-on metal fuel canister on the motor because that's a leak.
It'll leak.
Right.
Okay.
The whole system should be updated. Get rid of that metal canister. Remember that stupid thing that would never seal?
I do. Okay. I got a question. This is for Greg. Chris P. from Fort Myers, Florida. As a surveyor, are you very cautious about the West Coast boats being hurricane boats? Should people just stay clear of buying on the West Coast? That's a good question.
Well, let me give you a little answer to some of that from my end of it.
Yeah, I'd take that from you. Go.
Let me tell you what. In the state of Florida, they have to disclose it by law. But if that boat is taken from here to Alabama, they don't have disclosure laws, so you better be wary if it's out of the state of Florida, especially.
Right.
And there's
they did it up in New York. Watch all the vehicles.
Well, there's also a service called boathistory.com. You use that, and if there's ever been an insurance claim on it, it'll pop up just like a Carfax.
John, you're my hero because you just answered my question. Thank you so much. That was good. All right, we'll move on. We have another one, another Chris from Miami, Florida. He goes, John, can you please talk about the price point on Eclipse boats?
I think I'm going to give you that question since I took yours.
I don't know the price.
Listen, they start out, we've got one that's out there, one of the whole ones, about 2.4 million. They go to about 2.9. And, they're all optioned out. Right. And just depends on, whether you get one for the price increase or not, and each year all manufacturers increase price. So 2.4, 2.9.
So I'll ask a question. With your competitors that we mentioned before, are you in the middle, the top? Where are you?
We're right in line with them.
Right in line.
Okay. They offer more options. We offer pretty much a standard fully loaded boat.
Okay, good. Yeah. All right, good. All right, guys. So I think we got to kind of wrap up. It's getting to that point, but this is where we do tips. I'm going to do my tip. My tip is, I said before, I often take the graduating classes from Chapman School to the new manufacturers and show them how boats are built. If you're looking to buy a boat, do your research. Go on YouTube. It's full of videos of all these manufacturers' factories, how they build the boats, what goes into it. Just do your research. So if you're going out there buying a boat and you're buying a new boat, even a used boat that's a couple of years old, go on YouTube, see how they're built, and go visit John and say, hey, I want to get on this Eclipse. Let me see, let me touch, let me feel, let me kick. You could tell a lot by the boat just by the hardware, hatches, the stay shocks, this, that. So do your research. I listen, I'm going to tell it like it is. Your neighbor is not the authority on the boat. So you're all going to have that friend or neighbor who says, oh, you got to buy this boat or you got to buy that boat. Do your own research. Go out there, get on the boats, knock it around, and you'll tell real quick if it's cheap or if it's a good boat.
Well, and different boats for different missions. My tip is watch this or listen to this podcast because you guys are entertaining and informative, and I appreciate you having me back on.
That's good, John. We love you. We appreciate you. And John just hit on something really, really good. Everything's utility, right? So if you want to send a console, you know the center consoles to go look at. If you want a cruiser, hey, Eclipse. It's a new guy in the market. Go look at them. So everything's utility. If you're going to the sandbar and you're going to spend a couple hours drinking beers, you do not need a 65 Viking.
No, but you do need Captain Happy along for laughs, right? Do need him along. We cannot survive.
I can't drive the boat. Dude, I've already polished my props twice. I cannot drink and drive the boat.
Oh, no, we're taking you for entertainment value. Strictly entertainment value.
Oh, my God.
Well, then I'll be on your boat because it's...
Come on.
Especially the Roosevelt Bridge. Because you got to remember, you're talking about the downies. I get a full keel when I go through underneath the bridge. I get all skewy, and these people are like, oh, well, you can squeeze in here.
Do you know the only time I saw his eyes open the whole program is when you mentioned stripper pole. So, that's the only time I saw him awake.
Oh, God.
But, all right, guys, listen. For marine survey information, please call 772-773-2600 or go to our website, pinnaclemarinegroup.com. I'd like to thank John Dial for coming here again, and phenomenal guys. He's got his hands in everything. He's very knowledgeable. He does a lot with everything. So we really appreciate him, and definitely check out the brand Eclipse Boats. Yachts. Good, really good boat. I'd like to thank our producer Jeeves, our production assistant Samantha. I'd like to also thank Chapman School of Seamanship for all they do in educating the future of the marine industry. And I'd like to thank, oh, God.
Go
do
ahead.
I have to?
Do it.
Can you do it?
I'm happy
Captain
more than 10 of you
Happy.
people together.
And all your information is hmy.com.
HMY.com. Also. All right. Please hit that subscribe, follow, or like button. And please tune in next Thursday or every Thursday for the Naughty Boys Boat Show. Every week we will have exciting guests, informative news. May you have fair winds, following seas, and tight lines.
What about
God
my
bless
tip?
you.
What,